What is the Svatantrya Shakti? The power of autonomy, freedom. This Shakti, freedom, is such that it cannot even be defined. That is how we got Anirvachaniya. Not in the sense of this elusive, deceptive Maya, but the Svatantrya that cannot be defined. Let's say, how do you define things? A dog, you define with the number of teeth they have, the tail they have. Particular shape is very difficult. The particular way they bark, maybe, that is how you define a dog. But what if the dog is free? And the dog tomorrow takes the form of a swan, and the next day a cat, and another day a mouse. You see? How are you going to define your dog now? This is my dog today. He chose to be a cat. Try to explain that to your neighbors. This is why Svatantrya is not something you can define. Because defining is putting condition. When you put something in condition, then it is not free. It can act only within that parameters. There is no determination, there is no definition. That is what it is meant by Anirvachaniya Shakti. Free, because it is absolutely free, therefore it is indeterminable. You cannot determine. Determination is something that you can only determine the finite forms, structures, names. You cannot determine absolute freedom. This very absolute freedom makes it possible for this manifold. So that absolute freedom has to have to feel its freedom, to enjoy its freedom. Otherwise, what freedom it is that you can never experience? What is worth that freedom that you never know? What is worth that freedom that you cannot experience? What is worth that freedom that cannot ever be affirmed? Now you see, what is the purpose of the world? What is the purpose of being in the world? What is the point of that absolute Shiva without experiencing its freedom? Like there is one guy says, I'm Shiva, I'm free, I can do whatever I like. You can meet these people in crossroads in any daytime in India, okay? They just smoke a bit and they say, I'm Shiva, I can do whatever I like. So what if there is one of them a real Shiva? How do you know that this one is the actual Shiva and those are just guys with high, in ganja? He has to do something, Kriya Shakti. He has to know something. He has to have the will to know something. Otherwise, that absolute would not be free. And this is what we are now. The world is an expression of the freedom of Shiva. And our own self-recognition, when we recognize our true nature as Shiva, then this is an actualization of the potentials that you have. How do you know you can climb a mountain? Have you ever tried? How do you know you can swim? Have you ever tried? How do you know you can go for fasting during the 9 nights of Navaratra? Have you ever tried? You see, you try and you know the action. Shiva recognizes Shivahood, and in the process of recognition, there is one aspect of not knowing. Then that is where this Ratri as darkness, Navaratra, Ratri as ignorance, creeps in. I do not know. What happens when you do not know? Fear arises. Ditiyad vai bhayam bhavati. When you stop seeing the totality as the singular, undifferentiated Shiva nature, fear arises. Who is the one that experienced fear for the first time? Who is the firstborn